It's a saga that has kept football fans enthralled. Kaizer Chiefs' request to have their matches postponed because of COVID-19 is yet to be finalized. And in the midst of all this, the PSL's prosecuting office lost its boss, Nande Becker, and legal counsel, Michael Murphy. The man who ran that office has now returned to the post, and it's advocate Zola Majavu, who joins us now via Zoom to discuss his return to the post. A very good evening to you, Mr. Majavu, and thank you so much for your time. So before we get into the burning issue of Kaizer Chiefs, why go back to this post?
Look, I was invited by the executive committee through the chairman of the league and asked if I could come and steady the ship until the end of the season. And because of my long-standing relationship with the league, I had no hesitation in agreeing to come and assist on a transitional basis. So my appointment really is up to the end of the season. So it's more like coming back home to do what I did previously for the past 10 years or so. So it was not a difficult decision at all.
Obviously, you do have the experience of legal counsel at the PSL, but of course you did leave the last time around, and I would imagine there were reasons for your departure. Have you been promised or perhaps given the confidence that whatever it is that made you leave then will not happen this time around?
The only reason why I vacated my position as a prosecutor was to take up a different position, namely that of CEO. We know that ship has sailed. But as far as my prosecutorial independence and giving the space to do my prosecutorial work, I've never had any issues at all. And I think in fairness to the league, they appreciate that the judiciary of the league must be kept independent, and so should the prosecutions division. And I am not one who will take kindly to any sort of interference. And in fairness, I have no reason to expect that that would be the case, because I never experienced it the first time around. So I have the space, I have the latitude to appoint whomsoever I wish to assist me, even on this interim basis. And my independence is definitely not even an issue to be debated. Obviously, if I were to have an indication that that would be compromised, I wouldn't have agreed to accept the post. But as matters stand, my acceptance is an indication that I am confident that I will have the space to do what I have to do. It's only in the league's interest anyway to make sure that its judicial processes are beyond reproach.
Mr. Majavu, the league chairman in his previous press conference, when it was all about the DStv Compact Cup, mentioned that he knew that this press conference would be overtaken by the Kaizer Chiefs matter, and that he tried to the best of his ability to address the issue and explain to the nation that it is a very complex encounter and that it needs to be dealt with the necessary sensitivity, considering how many clubs it affects. He repeated those words this time around to say that it is still a complex matter, and that is why he has not come forward with the resolution. I imagine that is the first and biggest assignment on your desk now as you step into this position. When are we going to get a resolution in this matter?
Not at all. It's not the first and most urgent matter for me to attend to. Just to give the viewers an open and honest sense, I had a handover discussion with my predecessor, Mr. Nande Becker. And from the report he handed to me and the documents that I perused, there are 21 outstanding misconduct cases. There are also 9 cases which I finalized before the December break. And I guess the cat is out of the bag. I was appointed much earlier. I've been doing my work in the background, and I just waited for the chairman to make the announcement. Those 9 cases I have now finalized. There are cases that basically carry an option of an admission of guilt fine, which clubs have availed themselves to. And there are currently 3 matters which potentially, and this is what I think you're interested in, there are 3 matters which potentially, if not dealt with speedily, could have a spillover effect and could place the finalization of the league program into jeopardy. Those would include, amongst others, the so-called Kaizer Chiefs matter. However, as at 3 o'clock this afternoon, I had requested all the relevant information pertaining to that matter in the normal course. As a prosecutor, you request match officials and all other relevant incident documents for you to review independent and make your own judgment call. So there is nothing special about the Kaizer Chiefs matter from a prosecutorial point of view if we get there. I can assure you, though, that I have attended to that matter insofar as requesting the relevant information is concerned, and my colleague, Mr. Murphy, has made that information available. It is up to me to review the information and make a decision that I believe that is worthy to be made based on what is before me. But there is also a parallel process. I have been informed, even though I haven't had sight, that Kaizer Chiefs has taken the decision of the executive committee not to approve its request on some form of appeal. I'm not sure how that's going to pan out, but as far as I am concerned, I'll deal with this matter like any other matter along similar lines, purely from what the statutes of the league say, what the compliance manuals say, and whether or not there's a misconduct. And if I come to that decision, which I have not yet at the moment, I will make that announcement to say, having perused these documents, I'm going to take step A and then remain quiet. And once the process has been finalized, I will come back to the media again and say, this is the outcome of that judicial process. But at this stage, 6-7 hours into the job, I've received the requested information, and I need to be given the space by the media as well to do what I have to do independently. But the Kaizer Chiefs matter is not a top priority, so to speak, because there were other cases that preceded it that are equally important, and that if they are not attended to properly, for example, there is a protest by Maritzburg United. I've just enrolled it, and I will announce the date for the hearing as soon as I've gotten confirmation that those affected parties have been notified. As I indicated, common courtesy dictates that they must be notified first, and then I communicate to all and sundry afterwards. But it's an open secret that by the time I left the office, those charge sheets had gone out. I will not go into the details thereof. But the idea for me is to deal with these matters in 3 categories. The first category is to club matters together that pertain to one club. For example, if Mothupi FC is facing potential 5 or 6 cases, I am intending to deal with those 5-6 cases from Morena Mothupi FC and deal with them on one go. The second category is those cases that have a potential spillover effect to the finalization of the league. There aren't too many at this stage. Potentially it's 3, but remember, for each match that gets played, it is a potential case for other complaints or protests that may be lodged. So I want to be in a state of readiness to clear the backlog so that come the 1st of February, one is then in a position to deal with cases as and when they come. And if you do it that way, you can rest assured that the league will not be held to ransom. And I will communicate effectively, transparently, and openly to all the media houses so that we are not stuck with information and we minimize room for speculation and aspersion casting. But at the moment, I can assure you that come the end of January, I will come back to all of these platforms and say, of the backlog that I inherited, the collective that I lead has been able to clear it in this manner. Here have been our successes, here have been our challenges. But another thing that you must also bear in mind is that the rules of the league also dictate how these processes should unfold. For example,
Mr. Majavu, apologies for just jumping in there to you. So I'm getting word in my ear that we are unfortunately out of time. But you have mentioned that come the end of this month, the beginning of February at least, you will still be able to come back on these platforms and furnish us with this information far deeper. And we will definitely appreciate that, appreciate your time, and appreciate the league's time and openness in these matters. There is so much that needs to be spoken about, and we definitely will try and get you back on the channel to unpack this more for us. But we do appreciate you unpacking as far as you can, giving us the clarity, at least where the Kaizer Chiefs matter, which at this moment, for millions of fans in this country, is the most important to them, but giving us that clarity so that they too understand what is exactly at stake at the moment. So thank you so much, Mr. Majavu, Mr. Zola Majavu, the advocate, who is, of course, the newly appointed counsel for the PSL. And that is where we're leaving it from the sports desk for now.